Have you ever wondered about the Ark of the Covenant and its significance in the Christian faith? This iconic artifact, mentioned throughout the Old Testament, holds deep historical and religious significance. It's more than just a golden chest. The Ark of the Covenant represents God's tangible presence among His people, the Israelites. It was the epicenter of their worship, an emblem of their covenant with God. Carried by the priests during their desert wanderings, it guided the Israelites, symbolizing God's divine guidance and protection. But that's not all. This sacred chest, adorned with cherubim and containing the tablets of the law, a jar of manna, and Aaron's rod, is a treasure trove of symbolism. Each element held within it carries a significant meaning, revealing profound truths about God's nature and His relationship with His people. And so we see the Ark as a profound symbol, but it also points towards something, or rather someone greater. So what exactly was this Ark, and what did it contain? Let's delve into it. The Ark of the Covenant, as described in the book of Exodus, was a gold-covered wooden chest constructed by the Israelites according to God's command. Its design was remarkably specific, 2.5 cubits long, 1.5 cubits wide, and 1.5 cubits high. That's roughly the size of a small coffee table. On top of the Ark was a cover known as the mercy seat, made of pure gold. 2 cherubim, heavenly beings, were sculpted on the mercy seat, their wings outstretched towards each other, symbolizing the divine throne of God. But the Ark wasn't just a fancy box. It held within it 3 very significant items. First, there were the tablets of the law, the 10 commandments given by God to Moses on Mount Sinai. These tablets represented God's covenant with Israel and His expectations of them. They served as a constant reminder of their divine obligations and the moral code they were to live by. Next, there was the jar of manna. This was a sample of the miraculous food that God provided for the Israelites during their 40 years of wandering in the wilderness. The manna was a daily demonstration of God's provision and care for His people. Lastly, the Ark contained Aaron's rod. This was the staff that budded miraculously to confirm Aaron's divine appointment as high priest. This rod was a symbol of God's chosen leadership and His power to bring life where there was none. Each item in the Ark held deep significance for the Israelites, painting a picture of God's covenant, provision, and chosen leadership. But for us as Christians, they hold a deeper meaning. They foreshadow the coming of Jesus Christ, His teachings, and His role in our salvation. But we'll delve into that in the next scene. Each item in the Ark held deep significance for the Israelites, but they also hold a deeper meaning for us as Christians. Let's delve deeper into the symbolism of the Ark and how it reveals aspects of Jesus Christ. Within the Ark of the Covenant, we find 4 key elements, each symbolically pointing us to Jesus: the mercy seat, the tablets of the law, the jar of manna, and Aaron's rod. The mercy seat, also known as the atonement cover, was the lid for the Ark. It's where the high priest sprinkled the blood of the sacrificed animal on the Day of Atonement. This symbolizes how Jesus is revealed as the ultimate propitiation for sin. In the book of Romans, Paul writes that God presented Christ as a sacrifice of atonement through the shedding of His blood. The tablets of the law, the 10 commandments, were a direct revelation from God to Moses on Mount Sinai. These tablets symbolize the moral and religious order that God established. Jesus, in the New Testament, is seen as the one who fulfills the law, not by abolishing it, but by completing it. In the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus said, "Do not think that I have come to abolish the law or the prophets. I have not come to abolish them, but to fulfill them." The jar of manna symbolizes God's provision for the Israelites during their 40 years in the desert. In the New Testament, Jesus is referred to as the bread of life, the spiritual sustenance for those who believe in Him. In the Gospel of John, Jesus declares, "I am the bread of life. He who comes to me will never go hungry." Last but not least, Aaron's rod, which budded miraculously to confirm his divine appointment as high priest, signifies Jesus' eternal high priesthood. As written in the book of Hebrews, "Since we have a great high priest who has ascended into heaven, Jesus the Son of God, let us hold firmly to the faith we profess." These symbols, hidden in the Old Testament, come to life in the person of Jesus Christ. The Ark of the Covenant is not only a symbol of the Old Testament, but also finds fulfillment in the New Testament. We see this in the life, teachings, and salvific role of Jesus Christ. The Ark, a symbol of God's presence and covenant with Israel, finds its ultimate manifestation in Jesus, the Word made flesh who dwelt among us. Let's take a closer look. The mercy seat on the Ark, where God's presence resided, parallels Jesus' role as the ultimate propitiation for sin, as mentioned in Romans 3:25. The tablets of the law within the Ark resonate with Jesus' fulfillment of the law, as stated in Matthew 5:17. The jar of manna, representing God's provision, aligns with Jesus as the bread of life, in John 6:35. Lastly, Aaron's rod, symbolizing priestly authority, is fulfilled in Jesus, our eternal high priest, according to Hebrews 4:14-15. In Jesus we find the perfect fulfillment of the symbols contained in the Ark of the Covenant. As we conclude, let's reflect on the profound connections we've explored. The Ark of the Covenant, a remarkable artifact from the Old Testament, symbolizes God's promise to His people. Within its construction and contents, we've discovered incredible prefigurations of Jesus Christ. The